The blower doesn't go on.
Turn it way up.
It comes out of
You don't have to.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you want to be my
Shouldn't look far.
Oh.
It's better to begin.
You can just go to my house.
Alright, everyone's standing ovation.
no reaction.
Before Neil presents.
I have one.
We'll see who wins. It's that.
I mean, that was kind of it for me. Like, that's, no, you didn't tell me the other one.
We're doing battles in the top class of the topics. But
I need to know
Well, some of you might know already that yesterday was kind of a big day in the life of Coach George because yesterday I turned, what? 50. I turned 50 yesterday, and I know you're thinking to yourself, there is no possible way because you look like 32, and I get it. But I actually did turn 50 yesterday. So yesterday I was sitting at my house, much like a weekend ago, but Jordan came home from college and he was playing the guitar a little bit for the family. Tyler was over and Allie was over, and my wife was kind of hanging out, and we were just sitting around, and Jordan was playing his guitar. And it happened last weekend as well. Jordan comes home from Hope a lot. It's kind of nice having him close by. But I sat around and thought to myself that has happened for me. I'm 50 years old. I'm sitting here on the couch, and I have everything I've ever wanted. Like it has happened. That there's nothing more that I could ever want than the boys that I have and the wife that I somehow convinced to marry me, and just the life that we have. So I want to try to give you a couple hints as to some things that maybe you could do to have everything you want in your life. Now, what you want in your life might be different. You want to just get an A on that next test. You want to be done with your TED Talk, or you want to have a good career, whatever you want. But here are some hints, 5 key ways I think that you can potentially get everything that you want in your life. Number 1 is to smile. That's me back in the day when I had hair. That's Jordan over there and Ty over there. Jordan's a sophomore at Hope right now, and Tyler's a senior here, as you know. And so I was working at Albion College. My wife was working at Albion College. She didn't know me then. And someone said, hey, there's a woman that works over on the other side of campus. You should go introduce yourself. And since there were only 2 single people in the entire town of Albion, I thought I'd try. Thought I had a pretty good chance. So I walked over there, knocked on her door, introduced myself. We talked for a little bit. We went to dinner that night, a movie that night, and she's now my wife. And I don't know, about maybe, I don't know when it was, 5 years later or something, I was like, hey, why'd you ever agree to go out with me in the first place? And she said it was just because you smiled a lot. The first time I met you, when you walked in, you just smiled a lot. And so I decided to agree to go to dinner with you. I can't think of all the things that have happened because she said yes to going out to dinner with me that night, but pretty much everything in my life. So number 1 would be smile. Number 2 would be look people in the eyes. That's my father. I talk to him just about every day, and he taught me this at a very, very early age. He had me ordering from the waiter or waitress, looking them in the eye when I was really, really young, and told me you need to do that, that it demonstrates confidence and honesty and maturity, and I've always done that. Really look people in the eye when I talk to them. I do think it's somewhat becoming a little bit of a lost art right now. I don't know if it's because of phones or what it is. So I think you can set yourself apart from other teenagers by really doing that when you talk with adults. Look them in the eye when you communicate with people. I would say certainly in the job interview and those other situations, but I would say even with teachers. I think you will communicate those things to whomever you're talking to. Third one is to say and write thank you. So I worked at Albion College before I worked here, and I visited this school. I was the admissions rep for Albion, and this is one of my schools. So I came here and talked to the counselor for a couple of years, and then the second time I visited, for whatever reason, I don't even know why, I wrote her a thank you note, handwritten. When I got back to Albion, mailed it to her, and said, thank you, Miss Petrie, for meeting with me. It was fun, or whatever. A week later, she called me and said, there's a basketball coaching position and an English job open at our school. You should apply. And holy cow, to be able to work here would be incredible. And I asked her, why did you call me? Later I asked her, why did you call me about this job? And she said, oh, just because you wrote a thank you note. No one's ever written me a thank you note. No admissions people ever wrote thank you notes to me. So to think that, like, Ranger Ball, me teaching you, me being here for 24 years, none of those would have happened if I'd not just wrote one thank you note to Miss Petrie way back in the day. And that's my first team from 94, 95, when I was my first year teaching. Next one is to be the first one there. For 24 years of basketball practices, you can ask my players, I beat them there. They never walked in and I wasn't there yet. And They don't know how much earlier I was than them, though. I guess my recommendation is to be first to your job, to your meetings, to classes, I guess if you can. And as long as you're the first one there, they have no idea if you've been there for 3 hours or 5 minutes. Like when I started my job, this was a solar car race. My very first job, I traveled with the solar car race. I was a public relations executive. And I just remember that whole year when I had that job, I was the first one in the office. As soon as I found out when other people got there, I beat them by 5 minutes. They didn't know if I had been there 5 minutes or an hour, but they knew that I was more committed to the job than everyone else in that office. And I think being the first one there is really, really important. And then the last thing would be to under-promise and over-deliver. I run camps in the summer, basketball camps. They've become pretty big, and I think it's because of that, under-promise and over-deliver. For instance, if Ms. Stiles is grading quizzes for you and she knows she's going to have them back to you on Wednesday, the trick is for Ms. Stiles to say, hey, I'm working on those, I'll get them back to you Friday. And you're all like, cool, Friday, that makes sense, I'll get them back Friday. She hands them back to you Wednesday and you say, wow, that was early, that was really nice. All along, she knew she was doing them Wednesday. All she did was under-promise and over-deliver. With my camps, like I'll tell my kids, at camp, you're going to get a jersey if you come to camp. And then when they get there, I give them jersey and shorts. And they think, wow, I got jersey and shorts. I knew all along I was giving them jersey and shorts. Okay, but I under-promise and over-deliver, and I think that's a pretty good thing to do. So I have a challenge for you at home. To wrap up, a 2-day challenge for you. Try this. Number 1 would be walk into your house. And I think some of you use all your smiles in school. Right? You're all happy in school with your friends and everything, and you walk in crabby. Walk in and smile. A lot of you just nodded, by the way. Yeah. Walk in and smile. Okay? Walk into your house and smile. Today, do this for 2 days. Secondly, look your family in the eyes. Put down your Snap, Tweet, Fortnite stuff, and look at your family. Okay? Look them in the eyes, and they will look at you like, wow, your eyes. Thank you. And talk with them. Thirdly would be write them a thank you note. I know they would be incredibly shocked, and they'll probably say, why did you write me a thank you note for making my lunch all year? And you just say, because I just wanted to thank you. You watch how things change in the house in just 2 days. Be the first one to dinner or to the car or whatever when you're going somewhere. And lastly would be say, go home today. Say, okay, I got you, Ma. I will clean my room by Wednesday. She'll be pumped up. Got you. That's great. Do it tomorrow and watch. She'll freak out. Be like, well, that was, and you know all along you're doing it tomorrow. Okay, but you're under promising and over delivering. I just hope that someday when you're 50 and bald and chubby like I am, that you can sit on the couch, look at what you have around you, and say, gosh, I have everything I've ever wanted in